Greetings, everybody. Welcome to our Collider Star Wars Rebels recap and review show here on Collider Video. Thanks so much for joining us. I am one of your hosts today. My name is John Campea. We're going to be talking about the newest episode, officially titled 205. Always two there are. And what we're going to do, we're going to talk about things we loved about the episode. We're going to talk about some of the things maybe we're a little bit weak about the episode. And we're going to take a lot of time to speculate about what may be coming up. I want to introduce the people sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting over here on my left, Mr. David Griffin. David, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here. Always two there are usually on the show, but now always three there are. Haven't been joining the ranks. John and Kristian.
And of course, the aforementioned Kristian Harloff. Kristian?
It's good to see everybody. Oh, there I am. Yeah, I'm ready to talk Rebels. We are getting ready to really explore this brand new season, man. It's starting to get good.
We pretty much, this episode pretty much gave us all the players now. It's like we've got all the pieces for the game now are in there. We've got Rex and the clones back. We now have the Inquisitors in there. We've already had Vader early in the season. It seems like all the major pieces are now in place. Now, last week's episode, I absolutely adored. I love that because it had that, that was the one where they had the Walker battle and all that kind of stuff. The storm, to me, it felt like a Hunt for Red October kind of thing. It felt like
an Empire feel like Hoth feel in the sand.
As well. And a lot of the ways they say it, enemy contact, blah, blah, blah. And with the Walkers coming, a lot of great homages to the original and stuff like that. So coming into this, I will be honest, I was expecting a little bit of a lull episode, like a little bit of setup for something big the following episode, because we just came off kind of an action-intensive episode. But no, they didn't waste any time. We knew the one Inquisitor was going to be in there. We didn't know that both of them would be in there, so it was cool as both of them. But anyway, David, let's start with you as the new guy on the panel. What were some of the things you really liked about this episode of Rebels?
I love the atmosphere. They maybe didn't plan it like this, but almost felt like a Halloween episode. Just because the dark hallways, creepy. Everything's creeping. There's this mystery. There's very sinister figures out to get them, and then of course we get these new Inquisitors that have them the most incredible names. You have Fifth Brother and Seventh Sister. They can't be like John or David. They have to have these like really intense names. But I just love the atmosphere of it. I love Zeb, kind of off doing his own thing, all this like lightsaber battling going on. He's just kind of getting the medical supplies and he's stuck in the air shaft and everything. So there's a lot of fun moments in this episode.
What about you, Kristian? What are some of the things that stood out to you really enjoyed?
Well, it was definitely the introduction of the Inquisitors. And it's funny because I had the luxury of being able to see these two when I went to the press conference.
Right.
So that's why when you say like you were expecting a lull, I was actually expecting a little more because I had already seen them. And I'm like, okay, what's next? What's next? And I got what's next. I really did. And in this, what I also found very interesting, I love the information, the little subtle information that the Inquisitors gave us, that they're not higher ranked than the last Inquisitor. He was the Grand Master.
The Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'd ever heard that title before. So he was the baddest of the bad dudes.
And the fact that that it's like they got the company email that said he's dead. Oh, and Ahsoka Tano is out there. Like they know all the information, and there are a bunch of them. And I also thought from the trailers that they were going to be like this united team, and they're not. They are like competing against one another. I loved when the Seventh Sister right?
Yeah.
Okay. Has locked and he lets go and she's like, I can't do it myself, showing she's good but she's not as powerful. Like Vader could have done it with his pinky. So I love that. I love the idea of there's something about her to where I don't know, I sense good in her. Because even though she was pretty menacing, she didn't just kill Ezra. And I know that she's smarter, and I know that she's kind of hunting down for Vader, but there was something there. And I still am holding out hope that she's kind of like the Mara Jade type camera. If you don't know who Mara Jade is, it's from the classic Timothy Zahn books that are now not part of canon. But anyway, but I loved it. I loved the mythology, and I loved Kanan. And what's it, Rex? I love that kind of buddy cop thing that we're gonna get. You know how this is gonna turn out. He started off not liking him, then they're at each other's heads, and then they're gonna save each other in battle many times.
Yeah, I gotta say, well, first of all, let me talk about the things that I really liked. I love that Zeb kind of got to be the standalone hero in this one. He's often sometimes used a bit as the comic relief, like why you kid, and he trips over something, but I really like that they gave him a moment for himself, to stand out himself, to be the one to do the rescue. I thought that was really great. I loved, the droid moments. I loved, the Inquisitor's little pet probe droids as well. I thought that was cool. You're right, though. The atmosphere they created with the space station, it really did feel like a scary video game in a way. So you're going down the hallways, the flickering lights, and of course, Chopper's kind of freaking out on behalf of all of us. I thought that was really cool. I love the Seventh Sister's voiced by Sarah Michelle Gellar, of course, but they did a little bit of modulation on it, but they didn't make it too heavy, just a little bit. And I really loved the way she talked. I love the sound of the voice. It was good seeing a little bit of battle in there as well. Ezra, I don't know if he's just pretending to be brave, or if he thinks he's better than he is. Like
he's a little cocky,
and I'm getting more powerful every day. Sounds like a future candidate for the Sith Hall of Fame.
Because he can go dark. We know he can go dark,
right?
And we still kind of think he will go dark at some point. But I thought that was great. I did like finding out more about the background of the Inquisitors. I was really excited, more excited than I should have been. I heard Grand Inquisitor. So he was like, there's a hierarchy of the Inquisitors, and I like hearing the names like Seventh Son, Fifth Brother, because that tells me there's not 10,000 Inquisitors out there. It's probably a group of about 15 or 20 Inquisitors, which I like that it's a small number because that makes them more elite.
Well, and David and I were talking about this off air, was that there's a scene, and it was the first movie that they put out. What was the Spark of the Rebellion when it came out, which was initially the first thing you ever saw in Rebels. And when they aired it on Disney, they added a new scene. And that scene was Vader in hologram speaking to the Grand Inquisitor. And he told him, hunt down the children of the Force and recruit them or destroy them. And it looks like they've recruited them, and the ones that have gone willingly have become Inquisitors. And I believe that the fifth brother and the seventh sister are now those people.
Which I always love about that, though, is that they recruit them, but they only give them a little bit of knowledge. It's like Michael Jordan be like, I'll teach you a layup, but I won't show you my famous fadeaway jumper. So that's why I always love Filoni talking about how the lightsabers, you'll have that motor on them that makes them go around, because they can't twirl it like Darth Maul and Vader do. They don't have that power. Like, she couldn't even hold the ship by herself. They have a little knowledge, but they're not true Sith.
They're not Sith Lords, and they never will be, but they're dangerous enough. Like we saw, and I think that was good. We saw the Grand Inquisitor, remember last season, like giving Kanan fits.
But
that makes sense. Kanan never completed his training. He never got halfway through his training.
No, and when he became when he started to realize, wait a minute, I am becoming a Jedi, that's when he bested the Grand Inquisitor. In that match, it's like, oh wait, he's got the confidence now, and it's not. And I remember watching that episode, the season finale at the end of last season, going, is that a little tinge of the dark side? And it's like, no, he's just getting confidence. He's a Jedi, and that's why you guys are saying. So when a full Jedi can best an Inquisitor, but that's why the Inquisitor jumped off the bridge.
But an inexperienced, a little bit undertrained Jedi getting his ass kicked by Darth Vader. And so that will be interesting how that plays out. I gotta say, though, as far as the 17th, remember, I have been totally on board with you, complete agreement with you. Since we ever knew that Sarah Michelle Gellar was coming, she was going to be playing an Inquisitor, I have been totally on board that she would be a Mara Jade type, Hand of the Emperor, who eventually falls in love with Luke, all that kind of stuff. I've been on board with that.
Bailing on it?
I'm bailing on it.
I understand.
Because I know you were saying that you saw it, and you saw those seeds of good, and this is the great thing about art. We see different things. I saw it, and I saw a total void of anything good. I thought, no, this one's rotten to the core. That was my perception. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out over the episodes.
I completely understand to where most people would bail on that theory now. I just think there was something about that scene to where, and I know that why she didn't just kill him was because she's trying to get information, as where the brother wanted to he's just brute force and not really much intelligence from him. But there's just something that I feel like when she was talking to him, that it wasn't just a pure evil. I don't know. I could be absolutely wrong.
Let's push back one thing. I liked that when she said there's chance for opportunity now that the Grand Master's gone. So I think, Kristian, I agree with you. I think she's smart. So I think, she is trying to work her way to that Grandmaster position, possibly, if that's even a possibility. I think she's a long-term thinker.
Yeah.
Whereas the other guy looks more like Savage Opress from the Clone Wars. Like you said, he's just the brute. I think she's playing long-term, but I think she's evil. I think she's bad.
It'll be what also I thought was interesting about the dynamic between the two Inquisitors was that, okay, there's some politics going on here. There's some, jockeying for position. But they're not going to endanger their mission in an attempt to one-up each other.
Right.
Like hey, the kill's mine. He goes, look, we need this. Go find the guy. And he just said, all right, because it was what was best for the mission.
Right.
So they are going to work together, even if there's going to be some banter and maybe some bickering between them as we go on.
They both want to be Sith, and Sith always crave power. So it makes sense that they're going to bicker a little bit. And the other thing I did like, by the way, you guys mentioned Zeb. I love that little conversation that he had with Chopper. Oh, and I love the fact that he couldn't understand Chopper.
I don't understand what you're saying.
And Ezra can, but I love the fact that when he stops, and this is just who Zeb has been consistent with his character. He's like, I can't leave those two kids behind. I just can't do it. He wouldn't do it. That's why you love Zeb, because he's a gentle giant. Well, not too gentle. He'll smash someone's skulls in too, but with his friends, he's the gentle giant.
Like you said, he was afraid. He's like, I don't want to die in the last of my kind.
Yeah.
I don't want to die here.
And it's funny you bring that line up, though, too, because, it's a funny line also, but it's also because that is everything. That's what he is. Remember that the reason why that passion comes out with him with Kallus, because Kallus wiped out a lot of his kind.
Yes.
That is a big moment for him. Like that's his motivation, is the fact that he is the last of his kind.
Mm-hmm. Does he still have his staff? I haven't seen it in a while.
I don't know. I haven't seen it either.
Have we even seen it this season?
No, Daisy Ridley has it now.
But now I'm wondering, wait a minute, John, are you just forgetting how he lost it in season 1? I don't remember.
Maybe somebody can chime in and let us know.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Okay, well, not everything is perfect. Not everything is, everything has some flaws. So, David, let's go back to you again. What maybe were some of the things about this episode that maybe you thought could have worked a little bit better?
I want to see more of the ladies. I know they're getting their own arcs. I know Sabine, we're going to go into the Mandalorians. We're going to get her own arc. I know that Filoni has plans for Hera, but last couple episodes, saw Hera was in the ship making repairs. She was just kind of off in the ship making repairs. Sabine was there doing things, but I want to see more from them. They haven't been given their own episodes to really shine yet, even though I know it is coming. It's been reported that it is coming. I just want to see more from the ladies, I guess. It's just mostly focused on Ezra and Kanan, which I guess makes sense, but I want to see more from them.
Yeah, I'm okay with them not being the focus of this particular episode, just because, like you said, I know that it's coming. I've seen it in the previews, and I think because we did see a brand new powerful lady with Sarah Michelle Gellar's character, like I wanted the more focus on her. But I think that the thing for me that the goofy moments with Zeb were fun, but in the middle of this whole scene with the two Inquisitors, and then he's flopping his legs around on the top. I was like, I probably could have. It was. You also realize it's a Disney show. It's a kid show.
You have to find that balance, I think.
Yes, and so I understand why it was there. It just, for me, I was like, okay. But I think some of the goofy humor sometimes throws me off, but then it's also it's not done in a way that it turns me off, like the way when I watch Clone Wars or even in the prequels where Jar Jar shows up and I'm just on another planet. But I think that's really I like where they're going with it, and I think that I want to see the brother be a little not just Force. I want to see something else, because he doesn't seem that intimidating as the last of the Grand Inquisitor. He's just kind of like,
the Admiral and Kallus, they don't seem to be intimidated by this.
No,
by this.
He mocked him. He's like, "Oh, you get another one of your premonitions or something like that. One of your intuitions." It's kind of mocking him in a way.
And that was the last thing that I had a little bit of issue with too. Is I want to make sure that they use, because Kallus last episode, it's like Kallus is turning into a kind of an easy foil. It's like he shows up, they're going to defeat him now. When Kallus showed up, and because in this he's just basically in it for a second, he's a scene, and like you said, the brother comes in, and then it's off to the races for those two. But I think that what I want to see from Kallus is to show up more and be that guy when he was battling Zeb and being menacing and being this despicable Imperial.
And you know what? In season 1 too, do you remember this? In season 1, like Kallus is something to be feared, because in season 1, even when he realized that Kanan was a Jedi, he didn't cower at that. He went at him. Yeah. He was going to go and take the fight to the Jedi. So you mentioned that he's more than happy to go one-on-one with Zeb, and who in their right mind would do that? But Kallus will do that.
And beat him up.
And beat him. Yeah. And he'll go after Jedi and all that kind of stuff. I hope that we don't sacrifice some of that him to make the Inquisitors look better.
Right.
And it looks like they're going to make Callus doesn't seem intimidated by the Inquisitors. So I was kind of happy about that. The one weak part for me about this episode was I do wish they came up with a more ingenious way for them all to escape the Inquisitors, because it hit me as a pretty simple escape, which in my mind kind of went, these are a couple of incompetent Inquisitors. They had Sabine and Ezra like right in front of them. It's like, oh no, there's a ship. Let's take our eyes off our captives and let them just run away to the side and not think twice about it. Like, I wish they had come up with something else. It would have been like, hey, that was a genius plan because it was going to take a lot to get away. Instead, it kind of came across a little weak. And none of us has mentioned this yet, but when that first Inquisitor probe droid knocks out Chopper, do you remember he did a little bit of surgery on Chopper? He was sticking his hands in and doing something, and that was not referenced again. Is there a homing beacon in Chopper? Is this going to be like, you know what? And now that I think about it, this would address me thinking these are some incompetent Inquisitors. Were they just putting on a show? Did they want them to get away with the droid?
That's a thing. Well, I mean, you say yes and no, because the difference is like with Siege of Lothal, when Vader was letting people go, it was the plan. You saw the plan the whole way through, where he had and his Callus said everything's going as you've foreseen it. But the only reason I don't know if that's the case with these two is because she was so upset when he let go. Like they were trying to catch that ship. Or was that all
for show?
It's just to themselves.
Yeah, because if not, what was that droid doing to Chopper?
Well, I don't think that theory is out of reach. I think that maybe they still just in case
they got away.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe? I know the robot's probably not an AI, but do you think it acted independently?
No, I think that he's working under.
I think he's under. Okay. It reminds me too. I love how she shows up with a droid because it makes me think of Darth Maul. When he showed up at the planet, he just just sends all. I love when they do that. That's so cool.
Yeah, and except that he's so cool, he doesn't even have to say anything to it. Like Darth Maul just kind of looked at it and he knew exactly what he wanted him to do. All right, well, where do we see this going now? Because obviously we had a couple things set up. Chopper is compromised somehow. We heard the Inquisitors mention Ahsoka Tano by name. So obviously Vader is telling them
there's a mandate out.
There is a mandate out there. And obviously now the first priority to Vader no longer seems to be the rebellion itself. It seems to be Ahsoka Tano.
Oh, yeah.
So he seems to be laser focused on that.
That was the mission. The mission was Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah, because they weren't asking him, tell us about your rubber fleet, how many ships do you have? No, it was, where's Ahsoka Tano?
And we know, we know about her. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So where do we see that going at this point?
Well, I think that you're going to get a parallel to what we saw in the Siege of Lothal, where you're going to have, instead of Kanan and Ezra fighting Vader, you're going to have the brother and sister fighting against Ahsoka Tano, and so she's going to smack them up because it's going to be one of those.
Because she ain't an untrained
Jedi.
No, she is.
But again, it's like a boxing match. It's like the number one contender is going to fight the champ eventually, but you need a couple tomato cans in there for the number one contender to fight first. And I think that that's what's going to happen. I also think that we're going to find a lot more lore, and like David was mentioning before, we'll get some more stories with Sabine and Hera. And Dave Filoni even mentioned at the press conference that we're going to learn more about her family and Chom from Lords of the Sith and from Clone Wars. There's going to be a lot of character development throughout this season, which is what I'm very excited about, to learn more backstory. And we're learning about it in some of the comics, but now it transfers over into season 2. So I think we're going to learn a lot more about the characters we love.
And not that we don't already pump and promote the novel Lords of the Sith enough. If you want a really great look at Cham Syndulla, who is Hera's father, that we have not seen in Rebels yet, read Lords of the Sith. He is a key central main character in that book, and it's actually pretty damn cool. Anyway, David, where do you see things going from here now that we've seen this episode?
So it seems like what's driving every episode is the information they receive from Rex and the boys.
Yes.
So, every episode is going to be, I wonder if it's going to be them going to a new installation. I'm excited to see some of these new old bases, like they went to this medical facility. They have all these places they can go to. We know that there's a Mandalorian outpost. That's probably, we're going to get Sabine's backstory when they go there. And I wonder if as they go to these locations, the Inquisitors are going to keep finding them. Or something's going to happen there where they have to react, get out, and then go to the next place as they keep trying to find a new location for the Rebel Alliance, because the Rebel Alliance isn't really the Rebel Alliance yet. They're not quite, they're still forming. Yeah. So they're looking. So they're looking for a place to call a home. So I think that's what's going to be driving them each episode. That should be interesting to see.
Now, let me ask this too. The one other thing I thought was a little bit weird is it seems like the seventh sister and her little droids were already at the base waiting for them.
Right, because that's what I was surprised last week when fifth brother made his appearance. I was like, well, where is seventh sister? Like, she wasn't with him at all. Right. He was by himself. So, yeah, was she already waiting for them there?
Maybe. How did she know?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, that's maybe that there was whether or not they were. I mean, there could be already a beacon on them. I don't know. That's an interesting question for sure. You know, one of the things I wanted to say that not forget was you and I have been talking about how we think that Vader is going to take out Ahsoka.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I've changed my tune on that.
Really?
I think she's going to die, but I don't think it's by the hand of Vader.
No.
What would be like a better, more heroic way for her to die?
It's not going to be heroic.
You think she's going to fight the Emperor?
Your faith in your friends is yours. I think the Emperor. I think the Emperor is going to take her out in front of Vader, and teach him a lesson.
So
and he's gonna be like, no.
That is a total theory. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard spoilers. I was thinking about it the other night.
That's dark.
And I was like, if you're gonna go through, I mean, there is a scenario to where Vader. I think you posed this last week. Is that the same scenario that he's with Luke in Jedi, except this time he takes her out, and I think that could definitely happen. But I also think that there's something where the Emperor to teach Vader, like, this is the dark side, mother F. And that's it. So.
There's something to me. I gotta say, it's an interesting theory, and it very well could be. I really hope it's Vader, because there is a poetry to that of Anakin destroying his former apprentice, and more than anything else, that would so solidify to us as the audience, this dude is bad. Not just bad as in powerful, but bad as in evil. He is evil. This is the guy who in just a few short years is going to be, overseeing the destruction of a planet and killing all these guys on boarding their ship and wiping out all there would be something so poetic to it, especially if she, because you and I have talked about this before too, especially if she dies while trying to cover the escape of the others and sacrifices herself for the others. But it's
funny though, both those things you mentioned, both the planet and those stormtroopers, he didn't kill any of them. He was there, but he didn't blow up the planet. He was watching it. And he didn't kill those stormtroopers, but he certainly oversaw
the rebel soldiers.
The rebels, and he oversaw it. And I think the same thing where he could have a chance, very similar to what we were just saying with Jedi, to step in and help Ahsoka as the Emperor is, and then not.
Also a reflection of Jedi and before. It's an interesting thing. But she's not. We're going to agree. She's not going to die as a random pilot in a dogfight.
No.
Oh, her ship got taken out.
Pull up.
Yeah. Like the last witch hunter, just randomly.
Let's not go there. All right, then. That will do it for this installment of our Collider Star Wars Rebels recap show. But I'm going to let you guys know, if you're watching this show, you're probably going to take a wild guess, a Star Wars fan. We got a little show we do here on Thursdays called Jedi Council. And speaking of Rebels, we've got a special guest coming on the show tomorrow. Kristian, why don't you tell them about it?
I am super, super excited to announce that we are going to have Kanan himself. Freddy Prinze Jr. is going to be in the studio with myself, John, and Mark, and we're going to talk to him about Rebels. We're going to talk to him about Star Wars. He's a hardcore Star Wars fan, just like the rest of us. So what I'd like you guys to do is make sure you hashtag Collider Jedi Council and ask some questions to the man, to Kanan, to Freddy Prinze Jr. Go ahead and start submitting those. I'm going through them today, and I'm going to try to get as many out there that I can.
And I might have missed it earlier in the show, but in case you did not know, we've been talking a lot about the Seventh Sister. The Seventh Sister is voiced by his wife, Sarah Michelle Gellar. So that's it's a whole family thing. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us for this installment. I want to thank the guy sitting at the table with me. Sitting to my left, Mr. David Griffin. David, where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter @GriffinDE and on Collider on the Flash recap show with John Campea every Tuesday right here.
Over here on my right, Mr. Kristian Harloff, where can people find you?
Well, definitely on Movie Talk and on Jedi Council. Make sure that you hashtag Collider Jedi Council, like I just mentioned, and follow me at Kristian Harloff on both Twitter and Instagram.
And you can follow me on Facebook and on Twitter by following me at John Campea. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Make sure you come back again and join us next week. And until then, bye-bye.